Welcome back to the 75-gallon mixed reef aquarium, and this update we are soaking the display tank pumps. There's a total of 4 of them in vinegar, and these two are the Tunzi 6095s. They're controllable, and they are also wide flow. And up top we have the two 6208 wave boxes that are generally in this space back here and over here. Both of these wave boxes have a pump in the bottom. That pump is the 6055, which is also controllable and has more of a narrow type flow. This is the back, and then this is the front. And the nice thing about these wave boxes is I also store I can run like GFO or a small bag of carbon up top in the display tank, as opposed to running it in the sump, or in addition to running it in the sump. So we'll go ahead and get started cleaning the bubble algae from the tank and rescuing some of my SPS corals that are starting to be overtaken, and do our best to pluck as much of it out of the tank. Do a water change, 20 gallons. So this is about halfway through. On the right hand side we have cleaned all the bubble algae. There's still some down in there. The glass, you can tell, is dirty, and in the background you hear the RODI filling up 20 gallons for tomorrow. This is a 2-day project, so I basically did a 20-gallon water change and pulled all the rock in the back out, scrubbed the bubble algae off of it as much as possible. Need to get the snails also while I'm thinking about it. Back there. And then there's some there, but for the most part, a lot of it is gone. Keep in mind the bubble algae feeds off of the dosing system, both of them, the cockwasser and the 2-part. It typically probably likes high flow area. Not too much light. It seems to hide either in the shadows, is where I found most of it. Underneath corals is another place I found a lot of it. So here we are. On the left hand side we did a slight re-aquascape. This is temporary for right now, because when I do part 2 I need to pull that piece of rock out and scrub that down and put that back in. And on the left hand side I did remove, the goal was to also remove the green star polyps that were on the left hand side. There's 2 varieties in the tank. The one that's on the right hand side is a darker greenish color, and the way it grows, it looks a lot thicker, whereas the variety that's on, or was on, the left hand side of the tank, it jumped the rock that it was on. So the rock that it was on was isolated, and over time, the tank's been running for about 2.5 years. Somehow it jumped off of that rock onto, well, first it crawled onto the one below it, which you can see in the past videos, and then once it did that, it jumped over to the main structure, and so I'm not a fan of that variety, so I was like, alright. The sad point is the Kenyan tree was on that rock, and unfortunately the rock went, and therefore the Kenyan tree is no longer. So let's see, found a couple of frags that had fallen in the back. The next part 2 of the water change, I'll clean that off, and then we're going to do a slight reaquascape of the tank while we are taking advantage of, because I believe this is probably the first time I've cleaned the wave boxes since I put them in. And one is mainly the bubble algae that has triggered the cleaning. Otherwise, the pumps were, except for the one on the left hand side, that one I think it's an older version, and therefore, or older model version, I guess same thing, and I just have some troubles with that one, but we'll figure that out, and if I need to replace it, I'll replace it, but I think it works fine. It's just more user error on my part. So, and nice thing about doing a slight reaquascape is the territories have completely been turned on their head, especially for the angelfish. You have the coral booty, who you see is fighting there with the flame angel. But one, there's only 3 angels in this tank. I thought about adding a 4th one or a 5th one, but we'll see. I think 3 in one tank, in a 75-gallon tank, with the aggression that I'm seeing, is good. One tends to stay to the left hand side of the tank, the other one stays to the right, and then one of them kind of roams the middle section. So we are in the process of cleaning the Tunzi Wave Box 6208, and those with nano tanks will be very familiar with the shell. Here's one. There is the 6055 narrow controllable pump that are in these wave boxes, and there's other I guess accessories that I could put in here, but I chose not to. From time to time I will put the small pouches from Seachem, either their Phosguard or their Phosguard and carbon mixed together, or their GFO, depending on the needs of the tank. And sometimes I'll even put the pouch of Purgeon in here. It's a neat compartment. It also does surface skimming, so it's kind of like a closed loop system basically inside a tank. And my whole goal is, when I do an upgrade, my upgrade tank will definitely be rimless, but it'll also have a center overflow, and you know, it'll be a larger tank. And so the idea is to have the wave boxes, one on the left and one on the right of the center overflow, as I upgrade my tanks and adding additional filtration. So that is the outside. As you can see, this one has not been cleaned yet. Here is a cleaned one with the face taken off. So this goes over the top of it, and from there it allows you access to the controllable 6055 pump, which is more of a narrow stream as opposed to a wide one. And then that's pretty much for those who are thinking about or don't really know too much about the Tunzi lineup. Here's just kind of a quick behind the scenes. I know weigh boxes are kind of old technology. Currently, gyros and pumps of similar design are very popular, but I seem to be doing well with these pumps, and it works for my tank and my reef tank and how I like to run my tank. So yeah. And here is the Tunji 6040, which is also controllable, but it is I don't know, it's not right for my tank. So what I'm doing is I'm going to clean it up really well, and then I'll put it for sale on Amazon. So I still have the box. It barely has been used, but I will list it on eBay under the same title as my YouTube channel, and we'll go ahead and get this over to someone who can make better use of it than I can, having it sit in the corner collecting dust. So this is just a quick overview of the 6208 weigh boxes. This is the first cleaning, and we will get these cleaned and back over at the tank. And here's the final reveal. Some of the corals are still kind of upset and angry. There was one coral that has slipped back between the rock structure. I found it. It was completely bleached out, and it looks like it's making a comeback. And it is a flower pot. One of the rainbow ones is what it looks like. On the left-hand side, you'll see that I removed the green star polyp. That variety has been removed. On the right-hand side is the brighter fluorescent green variety, and so we'll leave that in the tank for the time being, which freed up a lot of space. A slight restructuring on the left-hand side. The pumps are cleaned. Also cleaned up the cabling for the kessels. You can see I zip tied them instead of, what was I using? Garbage bag twist ties, I think is what I had up there, for whatever reason. And so that looks a lot more, it looks better compared to how it looked before. What else did we do? That is pretty much it. 3 chunks of rock were removed, and this is just a quick reveal after cleaning the pumps, and we will do a more in-depth overview of all the corals in about a week or so when they have adjusted to the new tank environment. And quickly down below, I put some carbon on this side along with the filter pads. So we're going to give this a try, running this on top of the Marine Prayer skimmer, humming along. And on this side, everything is doing well. Zeovit reactor and return pump all doing well. I'm coming to think that I didn't need these 2 reactors. They're probably a nice to have. I wouldn't say it was overkill, but a nice to have. So I may be selling these or taking them offline, or just using 1 instead of 2. No longer running the carbon in the reactors. That, believe it or not, is 1 cup of Seachem carbon. Let's see, let me get a better shot here. So basically, the return water is going to go through the carbon. I've got to kind of clean it up a little bit, and then through the filter pads, and just steps up the quality of the water in the display tank. So yeah, thanks for watching. Welcome new subscribers, and stay tuned for more updates.